Assalamu alaikum, namaskar, Jai Shri Krishna. Welcome to Hunny Walia shows. I'm your host, Sonal Fool. As we have mentioned earlier and all the time, we bring expertise from different areas who come and tell us, not only give us their views, but they also tell us what is happening in the industry, what is happening in the community, and how they are supporting it, what they can do for you. Today we have Anthony Butkovic from WCB Consulting, and we will be talking more to him about the WCB, what training programs he has, how he can support the employees and employers, and a little bit about Bill 47 also. Welcome, Anthony, to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, Anthony, you did, like when we were talking earlier too, you have a WCB consulting company, which is different than a safety consulting company. Could you tell us a little bit more about your company?
Sure. So my company started in 2011, representing employers in claims management and appeals, working with employers, safety professionals, supervisors, project managers, and other claims managers. And what we ended up doing was shifting our attention to training, where we worked with companies or safety professionals or people in general, helping them learn how to manage and appeal WCB claims more effectively. We work with companies that have anywhere from 10 to 1,500 employees. The majority of our clients are in Alberta, but we do have many clients across Canada. So we service all across Canada. Doesn't matter what industry you work in. The principles that we use to educate the public is applicable in any province that you are operating in. And I'm happy to say that over the last 10 years, we've been able to save employers over $12 million in WCB premiums and rebates. And because of the work we do, have also assisted companies in being awarded over $100 million in successful job bids from maintaining a good WCB program.
So Anthony, now we are talking about the WCB consulting, as you mentioned. How did you get involved in this?
That's a good question. So when I wanted to be a lawyer when I was younger, and when I found out what was involved, I got a little impatient, and I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to own my own company. And a colleague of mine had told me that, two ways to become a business owner. You either purchase a business or you become an expert in something and turn that into a business. And so a good friend of the family who was involved with workers' compensation talked to me about it and said, why don't you get into disability management? So when I looked at it, I saw that there was an opportunity for me to really take the parts that I enjoyed about, potentially being an attorney and helping the public and helping people in a similar way. So I took disability management. I graduated from Grant MacEwan. I worked for the board for 5 years as a case manager. And then there was an opportunity for me to go into private industry and specifically helping employers put in claims management programs and disability management programs. So I did that. And then I started getting these phone calls saying, can you help us? Can you help us? And from there, I created WCBconsulting.ca, my consulting firm. And the reason I focused on employers was I felt there was an opportunity when I was at WCB, there was a gap in how employers manage and appeal claims. And I felt I could make the greatest impact by educating them on how to do things better, which would allow their employees to have better lives and minimize the impact of a workplace injury on their lives.
Well, Anthony, question is a WCB management, but as you know, I'm a safety consultant and I do offer all those services like, incident management and all those things. So only WCB consulting and safety consulting, how different they are, how you are keeping them separate?
So, and that's a good question, because sometimes there is that confusion there. Safety consulting focuses more on preventing accidents, putting proper policies and procedures into place to prevent workplace injuries from occurring. WCB consulting, claims management and appeals, is what happens when, even though despite your best efforts to prevent an injury still occurs. So how do you minimize the impact of that injury on that employee and on that organization? That's where claims management and appeals and WCB consulting comes into play.
So Anthony, you mentioned about the training, like you are educating people or the companies or safety consultants, safety managers, supervisors, you're giving them training. So what kind of a training could you elaborate a little bit more?
Sure. So let me start really quickly with, what kind of training is out there right now. For most companies, WCB is the cost of doing business. You open an organization and they tell you to get WCB coverage. And WCB does have their own training program. But I have found that many people, they attend those training seminars and they get the material. They go back to their office, they leave the material on a shelf, and a week later they forgot most of what they were learning in that seminar. So I really wanted to fill that gap. And so what I did was I created a program where it's an online program that people can purchase. It's completely self-directed, so it goes at your speed and on your time that's comfortable to you. And it focuses on claims management, how to manage a claim from when an injury first occurs all the way to its completion. And then there's another component that is strictly on appeals. How do you appeal a claim, and how do you, get a copy of a file? How do you fill out documents? How do you put someone back to modified duties? All these common questions are all addressed in there. And then if there's an organization that wants customized training just for their organization, we put specific programs to them and then train their staff accordingly and help them implement that program in their organization.
So Anthony, when we were just talking now, and you mentioned appeal management and a claim management. So there are two
Yes.
different segments of the WCB when the incidents happen or the reports goes. So I will ask you if you can separate them and explain them separately. Firstly, like a claim management, what claim management is,
Sure.
what it includes, and then we will lead to the second question. I will ask you about the appeal, how to proceed. But if you can please answer the question and explain more about the claim management.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's not a problem. It's the main focus of claims management is to minimize the impact of the injury on the injured worker. And so in that situation, let's say you have someone who's reported that they have symptoms and they feel it's because of something that happened at work. The claims management portion is where you identify, what are those symptoms? So you help them get medical treatment or an assessment by a doctor. And then you look at, are there any restrictions? So is there anything that they cannot do because of this injury at work, but that you could accommodate and change? And you work with them to find those accommodations, you return them back to work. And this helps minimize the costs of the claim. It keeps the worker engaged in the job around people that they're used to working with. And then through that process, you work with them as they go through physiotherapy or through doctor's appointments, and you walk with them so that you try to shorten the amount of time that it takes to recover from the injury, but also helps you mitigate the costs that would increase your premiums.
And then once the incident happened, right, the appeal has been done and WCB has taken a decision. And
Yes.
then employer thinks it's not right, or employee thinks it's not a right decision. Now then appeal need to be done. And if I'm not wrong, WCB gives you 30 days once the decision has been made. Is that so? How you help employee or employer to do the appeal process? Are you part of it, or because WCB also support that? So how different you and the WCB support are?
Sure. No, and that's a good question. So just a quick correction. When in Alberta, if you want to appeal a decision, you have 1 year to appeal that decision by WCB. But building off of the previous example, so the first question that you always want to ask yourself when you're dealing with WCB is, am I managing a claim or am I appealing it? So we talked earlier about the claims management, but what happens if there's, new information or something about the claim that you don't feel comfortable with, and so you feel like you should appeal that decision? The first thing you want to do is make sure that a decision is actually made. Many employers, they try to appeal a claim before a decision is made, and that can negatively affect the outcome that they're looking for. What my firm does, or the training that we provide to employers, is we teach them how to gather information through the claims management phase so that if they want to appeal later on, they have the evidence that's necessary. Once WCB makes their decision and you don't agree with it, there's a document that you complete and submit to WCB, advising them that you're going to appeal the claim. And then through that process, where we work with them is that most claims appeals are done in writing. So we will show you how to take that information and the evidence, put that in a letter, find the policy that that you want to appeal, because every decision that's made by WCB has to be done by policy. So we will actually help you find that policy, put that in your letter to say this is the evidence as it relates to the law, and then your request. What is it that you want changed? From there, WCB will review it, and then there's different levels of appeals. There's, the customer service level where you're dealing with the case manager or the supervisor, and that's ideally where you would like your decision to fall in your favor. But if it doesn't, there's an internal review body within WCB that'll review the claim. And if you're still unsuccessful, then the final level is the appeals commission, which is a tribunal where there's three, call them judges, that you present your case to. And normally that is the last level of appeal. Rarely does it go to the Court of Queen's bench. Usually the appeals is the highest level that you would go to when it comes to an appeal.
Anthony, so to clarify that, you represent employees or employer both. So anyone who is not happy with the WCB decision can contact you and you will help them in process. Is that correct?
My focus is strictly on employers and companies. So the process for appeals is the same, regardless if you're a worker or an employer. I do have a colleague who does represent workers. So if there's a worker out there that doesn't agree with the decision that was made, you can still contact me and I will put you in touch with my colleague who can assist you. But my practice is strictly focused on companies, safety professionals, safety consultants like yourself, supervisors, project managers, people on the employer side of the business.
So when we are talking about training, and you did mention WCB does provide also seminars. So WCB seminars are like from half day to a full day. And if you have a WCB account, sometimes, it's free or they give you a 50% discount on the courses.
Yes.
So could you tell a little bit more about the fees, the time frame of the courses are, and if you have a WCB account, can it be subsidized or how does that work?
So is that just for the WCB courses, or are you referring to the courses that my company provides?
Let's separate two things now. So Anthony, that's a good thing. Firstly, let's talk about the WCB courses, and then we will talk about what other courses you offer for the employers.
So, right. So yeah, if you have a WCB account, the WCB does have seminars and courses that you can attend, information sessions, and my understanding is there is no charge associated with those seminars. So they'll cover things like claims management and appeals, to give an employer a better understanding of WCB. How that differs from what I provide is, like you said, it's a half day, full day seminar where you're sitting there and you're listening to someone speak. With the information that we provide, looking strictly just now at the online services, it's a 1 year subscription. So as long as you maintain a membership, you have access to that information. So unlike a seminar, once you leave, there's no one there to kind of help you. The WCB tries, but where do you go to find out exactly how to fill out a document? And not just fill out the document, but fill it out in a way that is appropriate and kind of a mindset from an employer, because sometimes the things you say or do not say can influence a claim. So my online training is there for you whenever a claim happens. So as soon as a claim happens, if you have questions, you can log in on your phone or on your computer, and within a few clicks of a button, within 10-15 minutes, you have all the answers. There's a video of me where I explain to you the situation. If there's documents that need to be completed, I explain to you how to fill out that document, and then I actually include it in the module. So everything is right there for you when you need it.
And what other
And then,
courses you offer, Anthony?
uh, yeah, so the other one is in person. So obviously with COVID, we've had to change things, but there is personalized or custom coaching, which is where an organization will contact us and say, we have certain supervisors or safety people or managers that we would like to be trained in WCB. So then we have special courses just for them that customize it to their business and their industry, so that if there's movement, if there's turnover, they have a program in place to protect their organization and minimize those claims. And they can focus on accounts, on claims management, appeals, anything WCB related. We can completely customize it to your organization.
And Anthony, thanks a lot for providing all the information on claim management, appeal process, and representing employees and employer in a WCB process and filling the gap what WCB is doing. And, the proposals they are offering, and if any employee or employer would like to contact you, please, I really encourage you to go and talk to Anthony. His number, his company information, his website, all information is running under the show as a header, so as a footer, I'm sorry. So please feel free to contact them. And if you would like, you can contact us also, and we will pass your questions and to Anthony, and he will be able to contact you. Anthony, it's when we are talking a WCB and we don't talk Bill 47 is not fair.
Right.
You want to comment on this or give your viewers what you think about Bill 47, how is going to help the employee and employers, or what your thoughts are?
Yeah, actually, I was, I know that I did a few interviews for, CTV and things on this same topic, and essentially, it's the wording around a claim, around the policy. So, human rights legislation says that an employer cannot discriminate, that they have a duty to accommodate, meaning if a worker has a restriction, it's their responsibility to accommodate that restriction. And what the initial policy, the last legislation change did was brought that into WCB policy and called it an obligation. And they said that if an employer could not, meet that obligation, that potentially there were some penalties associated with that, which made it very difficult for some companies, especially the smaller and medium size, with COVID and the economic downturns, to sometimes meet that obligation. What the new legislation has said is that there's a duty to cooperate. So they replaced obligation with duty. And from my interpretation of the legislation, it's asking both parties, the worker and the employer, to work together. That's the focus, is to come together and collaborate. That when an accident happens, they've outlined this is the responsibilities of an employer. So an example would be, your worker comes to you and says, I need, 2 hours a day to go to physiotherapy. Well, under this new legislation, the duty to cooperate, the way that it's worded, an employer has to, work to accommodate that appointment and allow that worker to go attend that appointment. On the other side, the worker's responsibility is to participate in that appointment and work with their company to minimize the cost and the impact of their workplace injury on the employer. So for me, the interpretation is that the goal is for them to both come together and work together. And if there's a problem, come together, resolve it. And if you can't resolve it, then have WCB getting involved and provide more information or ruling on that issue. One thing that we're doing is we're assisting companies with doing that. And the way for a company to protect itself is to have a really good claims management program. So as long as you have a really good claims management program, Alberta business doesn't have to worry about Bill 47 because they will do everything within compliance of the legislation. So, oftentimes I talk to companies and they want to wait till they have a claim before they have us get involved. And I encourage them to get us involved before you have a claim. Get a program in place, outline roles and responsibilities, get the proper documents to protect your company, because that investment up front can save you thousands, if not hundreds of thousands down the road when it comes to managing those claims.
Thank you. I really, I 100% agree with you. It's better to be proactive than a reactive. When you're proactive, you can save a lot of money, a lot of hassles, headache, stress, which comes when you're not proactive. Then
Mm-hmm.
you're reactive and you're basically, cleaning the mess. But if you're proactive,
Yes.
you're making sure your employee, employer, environment, everyone is safe in the society, and everyone is going home with all safely to their loved ones. It's a behavior change. Anthony,
Yes.
what message would you like to give to our viewers?
The message that I have is that, again, like you said, I like that word proactive, is take a proactive approach to WCB. I know that WCB is one of those areas where, depending on what side of the fence you're on, you're either for it or you're against it, or you have some issues, or you know someone who has an issue with it. At the end of the day, WCB is an insurance company like any other. And if you do the right things and get yourself set up in the right way, um, you can minimize the impact of an injury or a claim on your organization and for your employee. Because, and I might have said this earlier, a WCB claim is an interruption, not only to a company, but to that worker's life. They can't, in some situations, they can't do the daily things that they used to. They can't play with their kids the way that they used to. So if you come together and collaborate and have a good plan, um, you can return that worker back to their way of life faster, but then you also gain that valued employee who can help you generate more profits in the future by contributing to your organization. And so my recommendation is always, and I say this to every client I work with, my job is not to make, to appeal every claim. My job is to make sure that the worker gets everything they're entitled to, but in the most cost-effective way for you. Because by doing that, you actually maintain that relationship, and it'll cost you less money in the long run, and not to mention the stress and anxiety and everything else that comes with managing a WCB claim. So if anyone has any questions at any point, I encourage them to contact me. um, my goal is to be that resource for Canada, in terms of helping employers build better programs, because that's just going to build better cultures across Canada when it comes to disability management. um, I have YouTube channels with videos that will tell you little secrets and things and tips on how to do things more effectively. You can reach me on LinkedIn, Facebook. I, I'm here to help Alberta business and Canadian business as a whole really do disability management differently, but keeping the worker in mind as we do it.
Thank you, Anthony. I really appreciate providing information on WCB appeal management, claim management, and disability management. It's better to be proactive and keeping everyone safe around us so everyone is happy. And it cannot be done, as you said, and we agreed, till we change the behavior. And the behavior needs to be changed from top to bottom and bottom to down, bottom to, both ways, and has to work. And they have to work as a team to improve the quality of life of worker employee once the incident happened. I really appreciate taking a time to come to our shows and providing us the information. Once again, thanks a lot. You're watching Honey Walia shows. Keep watching. We have the different programs in different languages, in the English or Urdu. If you have any comments, you would like us to bring any other experts to provide you information, please do not hesitate to contact us. I'm your host, Sonal Fool. Till we meet again, Assalamu alaikum. Good day. Jai Shri Krishna. Khuda Hafiz.